The first one I want to begin with is a movie called Renfield. This is a film that's been advertised for a while because how can you not be excited for a film where he's practically playing himself? Mind you, it is Renfield, so it's one of those movies where I came out of it kind of complaining like, damn, I really want to see more Nick Cage Dracula in a movie where it's called Renfield. And so obviously I'm going to get Renfield's story, but did you ever see the original Dracula? 1931.
No, actually. No, I know that at least Cage is a big fan of what is it, Dr. Caligari as well.
Yes.
So he's got that appreciation for the genre as well. So I'm sure he was extremely excited to wear the fang-tipped
He lived that.
teeth,
Yeah.
fake teeth.
Bro, they were releasing a bunch of like clickbait articles. He got so upset because they were telling him that he was method throughout the whole thing. He was still Dracula in between. He goes, "No, I was not. It's just the teeth." And it's clickbait, it's clickbait, it's clickbait. But I can't imagine being on that set and the man still dressed up in the amount of prosthetics that they put him in. To me, he's the standout. Mm-hmm. The other half of the movie is Nicholas Hoult playing the assistant, as you know in the Dracula lore, who, serving his master. But then realizes he's going to the support group and realizes, like, oh, he's kind of being owned. He's a subordinate. And he kind of wants to be his own individual. It's warm bodies, bro. Honestly, whenever Dracula's not on screen, it's warm bodies. Light. Which isn't a bad thing because I like warm bodies. But it really relies on Dracula being on screen. Even, like, the entire credits is just him doing poses as Dracula. So anytime that he appears... I would highly recommend the movie. For me, if you like Nick Cage doing his Nick Cage-isms, he brings it in here to a beautiful degree. To me, that's worth the junior price. If the trailers didn't sell you, then I can't say that the movie, you're going to sit down and the movie's going to be anything different. But I like the fact that they went hard R. If you're not laughing at some of the jokes in this movie, which I think is pretty funny, you will have horror elements that make up for it, right? So
I heard it's extremely gory.
In the funnest way possible. Dude, there are
Right.
shots where this man, like, rips arms apart, and all of it's out in the trailers. Like, they don't even care about that stuff. He rips two arms to beat people up with them. There's a shot where someone breaks a bone, and you see the inside of the bone cracking in real time. I kind of liked it. I was surprised by it. I'm not going to give it anything more than a 3.5, but I wasn't expecting to have such a good time with it. This also comes from Chris McKay, who's done a couple of other pretty decent movies that have done well in streaming, like The Tomorrow War. He did direct the Lego Batman movie, so he kind of has that really fast-paced humor with it, especially because he has a good cast.
Yeah.
Alongside
Let
the
me
duo,
ask you. Yeah, let me ask you a question, though, because Chris McKay, interestingly, he also has a story by credit on the recent Dungeons & Dragons movie, and he was attached to direct it for a little while before our boys came in and took over the directing slot. Do you feel like he ended up with the better or worse project with Renfield?
Damn, bro. I'm going to put it to you this way. They're both equal to me. I find them both just as fun. However you feel about Dungeons & Dragons, I think that's how you'll feel about Dracula. Or Renfield. Cool. So I think that's a really good comparison.
Similar style of humor.
Yeah, and in terms of the horror and the action as well, obviously this leans well beyond the R point. They are well into the R-rated section of it. Like you got, like I was saying, Ben Schwartz is in this as Teddy Lobo, a mob boss's son. All he does is cocaine the whole movie. Like that's all he is. He's the failure of a mob boss's son. Aquafina plays an officer in New Orleans who's like, I need to do justice in a New Orleans police department. So you have everybody kind of just firing on all cylinders. There's some good improv in there. I'm happy that he did Renfield and he let the other boys do the Dungeons and Dragons one because I think they both did a good job separately. This, like a lot of the other movies, is also kind of setting up for sequels, but not in the most annoying way possible. So a lot of the ones we're going to be covering do end in a way where it's leaving it open-ended, but it's also just a good in and out one installment. So if you are a fan of Dracula in any case, I would highly recommend. I went on a binge. We were watching Dracula 1931. I was reading up on Nosferatu. Did you know Nosferatu was illegally made?
Oh, I didn't.
Turns out they never got the copyright. So they literally just made an entire film overseas, released it, they got sued, and then when they made the official Dracula, they copied Nosferatu for scenes.
Hey, don't ask
really
for permission, ask for forgiveness, right?
Literally, yeah. So it's funny to think that now we've got a Nosferatu movie coming out later this year, obviously, with Robert Eggers working on his. I'm really excited for that. They just announced another Dracula movie where they're like on a ship. And there's a couple Game of Thrones people on there. We've got this one. Man, Dracula's never gonna go away. It's like he's lived for 1,000 years and he's not going anywhere. But I went back and watched. Did you ever see the Gary Oldman one? The one directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
No, but I've been meaning to.
I've been hearing so many things about this. I'll watch a bunch of movies and they bring up Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola all the time. I bought it because I wanted to make sure I had a crispiest, clearest version. I didn't want an HD streaming. It's a pretty beautiful film. Francis Ford Coppola, that's a filmmaker right there. So it's interesting that Francis Ford Coppola is the uncle to Mr. Nicolas Cage. So he was kind of taking inspiration. There's a lot of stuff there. He said he was inspired by his dad. So again, I think it's worth the price of admission for Nick Cage alone. Nicholas Hoult is always really good. And I definitely check it out when it comes out. As a rental.
How about this one? Did you like it more or less than The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? Another recent Nick Cage comedy where he leans very much into the Nick Cage isms.
You know, I've told you that as much as I like Unbearable Weight, he doesn't like it, and I don't like a part about it, which is they're making fun of him. On this press run, he reiterated that again. When they asked him, who would you want to star in one of your roles? And he went, Unbearable Weight, to this day. I wish I wasn't in that role because he didn't like how it came out. So for that, by just a fan,
yikes,
I'm going to give it to Renfield. But I do like Unbearable Weight, regardless of what I have against that. I think if you like both of those movies, or if you like Unbearable Weight, you're going to like Renfield. It delivers on the Nick Cage-isms that you want. So Renfield, it is out in theaters. I think it's worth the matinee if you're curious in it. Go give it a watch. New comedy horror that balances it well.